Welcome back to Crafted Nest, a place where ordinary corners bloom into extraordinary sanctuaries, where plastic bottles, forgotten colanders, and old wooden crates find new life under the soft touch of sunlight in your hands. In today's video, we invite you into a gentle transformation, a journey that begins not with spending more, but with seeing differently, with feeling differently. What if your balcony, however small, however narrow, held the possibility of becoming a strawberry paradise? What if the things we throw away were actually the building blocks of something beautiful, alive, and edible? We watched, we listened, and we gathered ideas, drawing inspiration from everyday objects and the quiet wisdom of patient gardens. This is not just a tutorial. It is a celebration of simplicity, of care, of taking things slow and watching life respond. You'll discover 20 DIY ideas that you can try today. Designs that reuse, repurpose, and revive without taking more from the world than you give. Each one is inspired by function, grounded in real moments, and touched by imagination. And as always, we crafted this with you in mind, with warm light, calming words, and peaceful visuals that make you feel at home. So, if you believe that creation doesn't require perfection, only love, patience, and presence, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Crafted Nest and be part of this growing, glowing corner of gentle creation. Let's turn our waste into wonder. Together, there's something deeply comforting about turning raw, natural materials into something nurturing. When the world feels too crowded, too digital, too quick, sometimes all we need is a quiet morning, a bundle of bamboo sticks, and the humble dream of growing strawberries in the sky. Inspired by the frame built in the original video, this design uses nothing more than dried bamboo poles, twine, and thyme. The idea is simple, and that's what makes it beautiful. The frame is built by tying intersecting bamboo sticks into a triangular or rectangular shape, sturdy enough to hold fabric planters or small pots. Against the backdrop of a tiny balcony, this DIY structure transforms the vertical space into a climbing haven for strawberries. What's magical about using bamboo is how forgiving and graceful it is. You don't need precise measurements. Let the shape follow your space. Let the imperfections tell your story. As the strawberries begin to stretch their vines across the natural grid, you'll feel the frame becoming less like a project and more like a living sculpture. A tip: soak the twine beforehand so it tightens as it dries. If your balcony gets strong wind, add extra stability by anchoring the legs to a pot filled with gravel or soil. Once it's set, let nature take over. In just a few weeks, you'll witness the first green leaves dancing in sunlight, and later, tiny white blossoms that promise sweetness. It's not just gardening. It's a quiet rebellion against concrete and noise. It's a bamboo promise of something soft, red, and joyful, growing just outside your window. Sometimes beauty begins with what we throw away. The idea of turning discarded plastic bottles into a vertical garden isn't new. But when it's done with care and intention, it becomes an act of transformation. This design takes simple water bottles, used, rinsed, and reborn, and hangs them like musical notes on a wall. Each bottle is cut open on one side, drained gently at the bottom, and filled with earth rich in nutrients. Inside, strawberry seedlings rest like poems waiting to bloom. The method is elegant in its simplicity. Bottles aligned in rows, suspended by twine or fastened to a wooden frame, each one holding a small world of soil, roots, and leaves. For balconies with little floor space, this vertical layout brings life upward, allowing plants to reach for sunlight without taking room away from your feet. There's a rhythm to maintaining this garden, watering from the top, allowing moisture to trickle through each layer below. Over time, it becomes a daily ritual, a pause, a reason to touch green life. Use clear bottles if possible. This lets you see root growth, and it allows you to intervene early if any plant struggles. Add a teaspoon of worm casting into each bottle to boost nutrition slowly and organically. Secure bottles firmly if your balcony faces wind. And one day, after weeks of silent work, you'll notice tiny red fruits peeking from the greenery. The strawberries, small but proud, will tell you that even the most overlooked objects, the things we once considered waste, can be part of something generous, fresh, and delicious. This is more than recycling. This is vertical joy, blooming from your balcony wall. In the hush of early morning, when dew still clings to the edges of leaves and the sun has not yet grown impatient. There is a gentle ritual that feels more like kindness than protection. It begins with a lemon. The same fruit that brightens tea or sharpens a dish holds a quiet power in the garden. When pests, aphids, mites, or fungal threats begin to nibble on the edges of new growth, this natural spray offers a whisper-soft shield. No harsh chemicals, no bitter smells, just the crisp, clean scent of lemon and the clarity of water. Making it is a pleasure. Slice a fresh lemon, squeeze its juice into a spray bottle, then add warm water, about 1 part juice to 3 parts water. Let it sit for a few hours, infusing. You may add a drop of natural soap to help it cling longer to the leaves. But even without it, the solution holds its charm. Spray it in the cooler parts of the day, early morning or late afternoon, when the sun won't scorch wet leaves. Watch how the droplets cling like crystal pearls, and how your strawberries seem to breathe a sigh of relief. This is not just about pests. It's about presence, about noticing the small changes, about refusing to wage war on nature, and instead choosing harmony. Each spray is a moment of connection. Each leaf you tend becomes part of a deeper understanding. That gardens, like people, need protection that is tender, not forceful. And when your plants grow lush and free, untouched by harm, you'll taste the difference in every strawberry. Sweet, not just because of sun or soil, but because you cared, gently, naturally, wholly. There's a quiet beauty in giving waste a second life. In the rhythm of daily cooking, peeling carrots, slicing tomatoes, trimming herbs, we create scraps, bits and ends, unwanted yet still rich with possibility. And instead of tossing them into a bin that leads to nowhere, you can give them purpose. Right there on your balcony. The composting bottle is a humble invention. It doesn't need space. It doesn't require machinery. Just a clean plastic bottle, a few holes for air, and layers of organic love. Into it, you gently place your kitchen waste. Fruit peels, tea leaves, vegetable trimmings, layered with a sprinkle of dry leaves, newspaper, or soil to balance the moisture. It becomes a miniature ecosystem. Each time you add more, the bottle warms. Microbes wake, decomposition begins, and day by day, the contents turn into something dark, earthy, and rich. Real compost, alive with nutrients, ready to nurture your plants, to make strawberries blush redder, to give roots the strength to rise. Place the bottle where it catches some warmth but avoids heavy rain. Shake it gently once a week, and when it's full and the scent has mellowed, you'll know it's ready. The bottom half will crumble like coffee grounds, and when your fingers touch it, it will feel like life. A tip: chop your waste small for quicker composting, and use a breathable cap. Poke a few holes so your little bottle breathes just like your garden. This is not just recycling, it's resurrection. A quiet act of regeneration that reminds us nothing is truly wasted when we return it to the earth. In this bottle, decay becomes growth. Trash becomes treasure, and your balcony, however tiny, becomes a sanctuary of cycles, of giving back, of living with grace. Some days, tending the plants feels like breathing. On others, life takes over, and the watering can sit forgotten. But strawberries, delicate, thirsty, tender, thrive on consistency. That's where this idea finds its rhythm. The self-watering grow box, hand-built from weathered wood and quiet intention. The design is simple yet brilliant. Take discarded wooden planks, perhaps from an old crate or leftover project, and build a sturdy box. Inside, create a false bottom, a layer lifted with space beneath to hold water. Above that, rich soil. A plastic pipe slips down one corner, allowing you to pour water directly into the reservoir, while cotton ropes or mesh wick moisture up into the soil when the plants need it. The box does not beg for attention. It gives it. Even on busy days, your strawberries remain hydrated. Their roots learn patience, sipping slowly rather than gulping. Their leaves stay proud, their blooms cheerful. Reclaimed what brings character. Let the grains show. Let the nails stay a little crooked. This is not a factory-made object. It's a living story. You can line the inside with a plastic sheet to prevent rot, or drill small overflow holes to avoid flooding. Everything about this grow box speaks of care, without demand, and in time, As the plants reach towards sunlight and stretch soft runners over the edge, you'll find a strange comfort. You built something that looks after itself. And in doing so, it looks after you too. Because even a small box of soil and strawberries can teach us balance. Not everything needs urgency. Some things just need water, light, and a little room to grow. And sometimes we do too. In a world where everything is packaged and polished, there's something magical about tracing growth back to its purest form, a single seed nestled in the skin of fruit. This is not just planting. It's a quiet restoration of wonder. Most people toss the skin, unaware that hidden along its surface are dozens of dormant dreams. Strawberry seeds, tiny specks clinging to sweetness, can be harvested gently from the skin of dried or slightly overripe fruits. No fancy tools, no chemical treatments. Just a sharp eye, a steady hand, and a little sunlight. To begin, lay your strawberry slices skin side up on paper or cloth, letting them dry in a warm corner for a day or two. As the fruit shrinks, the seeds become easier to separate. Using the edge of a knife or even a toothpick, tease them out. Each one a miniature promise. Sow them into soft, damp soil, barely covering the surface. These seeds ask for patience. A light misting each day, a soft word, perhaps, and within a week or two, you'll witness the miracle. Fragile green sprouts reaching up from the memory of a fruit. This method is more than thrift. It's a gentle rebellion against waste and a reconnection to nature's simplest offerings. You don't need seed packets or sterile trays. Just fruit, light, and a little belief. Place your seed trays in indirect sunlight at first. Keep the soil moist but never soggy. And when the seedlings are strong enough to touch without bending, transplant them to larger pots. You'll smile, remember where they came from, just the edge of a strawberry, once meant to be forgotten, now blooming again under your care. Because sometimes the smallest seeds carry the biggest stories. There's a certain quiet satisfaction in feeling soil slip between your fingers, warm, moist, alive. But not all soil is created equal. Some carry more than texture. They carry power. And none more quietly powerful than worm castings. These humble black granules, sometimes called black gold, are nature's most perfect fertilizer. Born from decay and digestion, worm castings are the silent architects of thriving plants. Rich in nutrients, teeming with beneficial microbes, they transform ordinary soil into living nourishment. You don't need much space or equipment. In a corner of your balcony, you can set a shallow tray or mixing bucket. Into this, pour your base soil, loamy or compost-rich if possible. Then, add just a handful of worm castings. Their effect is not in quantity, but in depth. Stir them in gently, watching the color deepen, the texture soften. This mixture becomes your foundation, ready for seedlings, containers, or raised beds. Strawberries love worm castings. Their roots stretch eagerly into this enriched blend, finding nutrients that help them bear sweeter, fuller fruit. But it's not just about yield. It's about health. Plants grown in casting-rich soil resist disease more easily. They weather droughts with greater grace. They stand taller. A tip: always store worm castings in a breathable container, away from direct sun. They're alive, and they deserve to breathe. Use them fresh, and if possible, mix them in just before planting to preserve the microbial activity. And as you mix this dark, earthy gift into your garden beds, remember, what once broke down beneath the surface is now lifting life into the air. It's the quiet miracle of transformation. Not flashy, not loud, just rich, steady, and sure, much like the hands that tend it. Not all magic brews in silence. But this one does. Somewhere between a kitchen scrap and a garden bloom lies a potion most gardeners treasure. Liquid fertilizer, homemade from the rhythms of daily life. You don't need a farm, just a bottle, a little patience, and yesterday's peels. This design is born from gratitude, giving back to the soil that gives so much. Into a reused bottle, drop your soft kitchen waste, banana skins, vegetable trimmings, even leftover rice water. Add clean water, screw the cap loosely, and place it in a shaded corner. Within days, the mixture will cloud, bubble, and begin its slow, fragrant journey into nourishment. Every few days, shake gently, let it breathe. Within a week or two, a rich amber liquid forms. This is your concentrate. Strain it, dilute it, about 1:5 with clean water, and pour at the base of your plants. The response is near instant. Leaves glow greener, blooms arrive early, and strawberries, they seem to grow sweeter overnight. This method is quiet, clean, circular. What once was waste becomes a giver, and what once demanded little attention becomes something to tend daily, like a living brew, humming with microscopic energy. A tip: avoid meat, oil, or dairy. These belong elsewhere. Stick to plant-based scraps, and change the water if the smell becomes too strong. If done right, it should smell earthy, not offensive. Over time, the habit forms. You no longer see peels as trash, but as ingredients, as bridge builders, as whispers of the garden to come. And when your plants lean toward the sun, strong and vibrant, you'll know it wasn't luck. It was your care, your hands, and your homemade potion. Life returned to life. Sometimes, the gentlest protection comes from the lightest of things. Rice husks, often overlooked, often discarded, carry a wisdom older than cities. In rural farms and quiet fields, they've long been used to shelter soil, to hold its breath through long days of sun and unexpected rain. And now, on your tiny balcony, they bring that same grace to your strawberry garden. Layering rice husks over the top of your soil serves a quiet but powerful purpose. Like a soft blanket, they slow evaporation, keeping moisture where it's needed most, at the roots. When the day is hot and the air feels dry, your plants remain cool beneath this golden armor. They drink when they need to, not when they're forced to. And it's not just about moisture. Rice husks are gentle insulators. They prevent sudden temperature shifts. They discourage weeds. They even protect from splash up during heavy watering, reducing the risk of soil-borne disease reaching your strawberry leaves. To use them is a simple kindness. Scatter a thin layer, no more than a few centimeters, across the surface of your pots or beds. Let them settle. Let them breathe. With time, they break down slowly, adding organic matter to the soil below. You'll notice the difference not just in how the plants grow, but in how they feel. Healthier, less stressed, more abundant. A tip: if you don't have access to fresh rice husks, ask a local grain mill or farm. Many are happy to give them away. Keep them dry before use, and always store a small sack nearby. You'll come to rely on them, because in the simplest things, like the rustle of husks in the morning breeze, there lives a wisdom that needs no words. And in that silence, your strawberries thrive. Before strawberries rise into fruit, they begin in silence, tender, cautious, and vulnerable. And for that earliest moment, they ask for shelter. Not grand, not expensive, just something clear, warm, and kind. Enter the micro greenhouse, made from plastic containers that once carried food or pastries. These humble domes are perfect for giving young plants a safe start. Transparent enough to let in light, closed enough to trap warmth and humidity. They mimic the rhythm of spring, even on cool or unpredictable days. This is a practice born from attention, not abundance. A used cake dome becomes a climate chamber. A salad clamshell becomes a sanctuary. Place a damp soil tray beneath, nestling your seeds or fragile seedlings. Then gently cover them. Leave a small opening, just enough for breath to pass. And then wait. Inside, condensation forms like morning dew. The air becomes rich and still. Your seeds awaken in a cradle of comfort, stretching out their first roots without fear of cold wind or dry air. A tip: open the lid slightly each day to prevent mold. Turn the container toward the sun to encourage even growth. And once the seedlings are strong enough to resist the world, lift the lid and let them feel it. This method is not just sustainable, it's symbolic, a reminder that even discarded things can become protectors. That beginnings matter. That growth, real growth, comes gently. And as you watch tiny green stems unfurl beneath the misted lid, you'll feel it too, that fragile things don't need perfection to survive. Just care, just light, just shelter. Just you. Some friendships are silent, but deeply nourishing. In a tucked corner of a modest balcony, two plants learn to share space and sunlight. Strawberries, small and soft, reach across the soil with gentle runners, while mulberries stretch upward toward the sky. Together, they form a quiet duet, a balance of ground and height, sweetness and shade. This companion frame is more than just structure, it's harmony. Crafted from bamboo sticks or salvage wood, the frame supports vertical mulberry growth while providing anchoring lines or lower rails for strawberry vines to trail gracefully. It transforms a single pot into a tiered garden, layered, vibrant, full of life. What makes this pairing so special is how they complement each other. The mulberry's large leaves offer dappled shade that keeps strawberries from overheating. In return, strawberries serve as a living mulch, covering soil and retaining moisture. It's a mutual generosity you can see and taste. Set your planter in a bright spot with good airflow. Use a deep container. Mulberries like space to root. Train the mulberry up using garden ties or natural rope, and let the strawberries spill freely from the sides. Watch how the frame becomes more than a structure. It becomes a living archway, weaving green into red, shadow into fruit. A tip: prune the mulberry lightly to control size, and harvest often to encourage new fruit. Both plants benefit from rich compost and consistent water. And when the time comes, when berries of red and dark purple glisten under the morning sun, you'll see the reward, not just in harvest, but in the lesson that even in small places, companionship can make things grow bolder, that shared space can bloom in unexpected ways, and that sometimes the most fruitful gardens are the ones where things grow together. In the quiet corners of every home lie forgotten tools, old colanders, dented bowls, chipped pots. Once bustling with the warmth of kitchens and the clatter of meals, now they sit idle in the back of cupboards. But in a balcony garden, they rise again, not as cookware, but as cradles of life. Turning old kitchenware into hanging strawberry baskets is an art of nostalgia and purpose. The holes in a colander? Perfect for drainage. The curve of a soup pot? Ideal for soil. The handles, rusted with time, become anchors for rope or wire. Fill them with rich soil mixed with compost or worm castings. Nestle your strawberry seedlings gently inside, letting a few vines lean over the rim. Suspend the basket where sunlight reaches tenderly, where breezes visit often. And as the days pass, you'll see it. Leaves growing fuller, flowers blooming white and pink, and berries slowly blushing into red, dangling like jewels. There's charm in this reuse. It tells a story of resourcefulness, of softness, of refusing to throw away what can still give. A tip: line the bottom of your basket with coconut coir or mesh cloth to hold soil in place while allowing drainage. Water often but gently. Hanging baskets dry faster than ground pots. And rotate them weekly so all sides touch the sun. Over time, your balcony will sing with suspended greens. Kitchen tools once used for cooking now feed you in a different way. And every strawberry you pluck carries more than sweetness. It carries memory. The sound of spoons on steel, the scent of simmering soup, now reimagined as leaves brushing your fingers, and fruits grown from things you once thought were done. Because nothing is truly finished when it still is heart and soil. There's something poetic about giving old with new rhythm. What once carried boxes across oceans or supported forgotten warehouses now becomes a frame for new life. A tiered strawberry stand, crafted from pallet wood, layered like a staircase to the sun. This design honors verticality. In balconies where space runs out horizontally, we turn upward. Using simple tools, a handsaw, nails, maybe a bit of sandpaper, you can transform raw, weathered planks into a multi-level planter. 3 steps are enough. Staggered shelves, each filled with soil and strawberries. Each one a stage where growth unfolds in harmony. The beauty of pallet wood is its character. Scuffs, knots, grain, none of it needs to be hidden. These imperfections carry soul. Once assembled, the structure stands proudly against a wall, sturdy and bold, with greenery spilling gently forward like laughter from a quiet mouth. A tip: seal the wood with natural linseed oil or beeswax if you want to preserve its strength. Line each tier with landscape fabric or plastic to retain soil, and drill small drainage holes. Strawberries will love the airflow and the tiered sunlight. Leaves stretching, roots anchored. fruits drooping gently from every level. And when you water from the top, gravity does the work. Moisture trickles downward, nourishing each level in turn. A perfect cycle, a gentle system. Over time, the stand becomes more than function. It becomes furniture, a sculpture, a place where your mornings begin, not with scrolling, but with soil, scent, and sunlight on your fingers. Because in the layers of this tiered frame lies a lesson. Growth doesn't need much space, just intention, just light, just with a past and hands with a purpose. And strawberries always growing like joy in 3 quiet steps. In a quiet corner of your balcony, a tower hums with life. It doesn't buzz, it doesn't glow, it doesn't even move. And yet within it, the invisible dance of decomposition transforms scraps into sustenance. Slowly, surely, and silently. This is a compost tower, a vertical marvel built not from bricks or clay, but from empty water bottles, stacked, pierced, and filled with purpose. Each bottle is cut across the base and pierced with holes along the sides. Layer by layer, kitchen waste, banana peels, wilted lettuce, coffee grounds, settles inside. Gravity pulls excess moisture down, where it collects in a tray below or seeps into nearby pots as gentle nourishment. The design is compact and clever. You can tuck it behind a pot or along the balcony's edge. You can feed it little by little as life allows. And over time, the rich aroma of healthy compost fills the bottles, a quiet reminder that nothing truly dies in nature. It simply changes form. A tip: rotate your tower gently once a week to aerate. Avoid oily or animal-based waste. And add a handful of dry leaves or shredded newspaper with every few food scraps to keep balance and prevent odor. Nearby, your strawberries flourish. Their roots sip nutrients that leach from the tower. Their leaves seem greener. Their blooms arrive earlier. This is composting as a living partnership, not something hidden away, but integrated into daily life. And when you harvest your first berries, fat and sweet, you'll know they were born not just from soil and seed, but from a system, from your hands, from what once was waste. Because even in the smallest spaces, we can build tall stories of renewal, of rhythm, of rot turned into red fruit, and of towers that never speak, but always give. Some plants like to reach. They stretch across soil, curl toward rails, and drift over the edges of their pots like dreamers leaning out of windows. And to guide them gently skyward, we offer a hand shaped as a trellis. A mini trellis is a whisper of structure, made from slim bamboo sticks, driftwood, or even dry garden twigs. It doesn't shout or impose. It simply suggests direction, upward, outward, toward the light. Placed gently into the soil near your strawberry base, it invites the runners, those brave little arms, to grip, climb, and drape. It's especially useful in compact gardens, where space is measured in inches, not acres. By lifting vines, you protect fruit from soil, moisture, and pests. You allow air to flow freely between leaves. You honor the plant's natural desire to explore. Building one is meditative. Lay 3 sticks into a triangle or teepee shape. Tie their ends with twine. Add horizontal crossbars if needed. You don't need precision. Let nature dictate the form. A tip: soften the ends of the sticks that go into the soil with sandpaper or wrap with cloth to protect roots. Position the trellis on the sunniest side of the container and gently guide tendrils onto it as they appear. No forcing, just encouragement. In a few weeks, your plant will understand. It will climb, not because it must, but because you showed it the way. And when berries begin to dangle midair like ornaments on a breeze, you'll smile. Because this trellis is more than support, it's an invitation to grow with intention, to climb without fear, to rise gently with grace. And in that upward journey, both plant and gardener find a new rhythm, one of reaching and trusting and blooming. Light is the first language of plants. And sometimes in small shaded balconies between tall buildings, it becomes a whisper. Not quite enough, not quite reaching. But there's a gentle way to coax it back, to borrow sunlight and offer it where it's needed most. Enter the sunlight reflector. With a piece of cardboard, a roll of aluminum foil or reflective film, and a touch of intuition, you can turn shadows into sanctuaries. The concept is simple. Position reflective panels at angles where direct sun hits and bounce that light toward your strawberry plants. Even a few hours of reflected glow can make the difference between slow growth and joyful flowering. This method doesn't ask for precision. It asks for observation. Watch your balcony across a full day. Where does the sun linger? Where does it vanish? Then set up your reflector behind pots along walls or hung from balcony railings. The foil mirrors light gently, diffusing it without burning. Your plants receive a subtle shimmer, enough to stimulate photosynthesis, but never too harsh. It's like handing them a silver thread of morning. A tip: use double-sided tape to attach foil to stiff boards or repurpose plastic sheets. You can even attach small mirrors to wooden sticks and rotate them seasonally. On windy days, secure your reflectors with clips or twine to prevent movement. What happens next feels like a quiet miracle. Leaves once reaching desperately now relax. Strawberry buds appear earlier. Fruits ripen more evenly. And you, the gardener, realize that in small spaces, light isn't only from above. It can be guided, shared, reflected. It's a lesson in resourcefulness, in grace, in making more from what already exists. Because where light goes, life follows. And sometimes you just need to give a nudge. There are mornings when time slips through your fingers, when watering plants becomes a missed promise. But strawberries don't wait. They thirst quietly and consistently. That's why the drip bottle exists, not as a shortcut, but as a steady hand in your absence. A simple soda bottle, repurposed with intention, becomes a guardian of moisture. Its shape, its seal, its slow release, all designed by nature's own rhythm. Begin with a clean bottle. 500 milliliters or 1 liter works beautifully. Poke 2 or 3 tiny holes near the cap with a heated needle or small nail. Fill it with water, screw the cap back on, and press it upside down into the soil near the plant's roots. The earth will pull water as it needs, not more, not less. It's a conversation between gravity and need. Place 1 bottle per pot, or 2 for larger containers. As the soil dries, it draws air upward, allowing small sips of water to escape, like a breath. There's no waste, no overwatering, no need to rush home before dusk to tend dry leaves. A tip: freeze the bottles half full on hot days, then top off with water. The slow melt adds a cooling effect and extends hydration over hours. Refill every 2 to 3 days, depending on your plant's thirst and the heat of the sun. Over time, your balcony becomes more independent, your plants more resilient, and your mornings less rushed, more mindful. Because care doesn't always have to be loud or immediate. Sometimes it's a silent bottle in the corner, dripping quietly into soil, offering life, offering time, and in every drop, a promise kept. Every household has its forgotten corners. Furniture outgrown, objects no longer serving their first purpose. But when we look again with eyes softened by creativity, even a dusty shoe rack can become a tower of life. This is a story of strawberries grown not in beds, but on shelves once meant for shoes. A standard shoe rack, wooden or metal, single or tiered, is the perfect frame for vertical gardening. Its natural height makes use of vertical space. Its shelves already structured to hold containers. And when paired with liner trays or shallow pots, it becomes a layered garden of red fruits and green joy. Simply line each tier with plastic or fiber trays. Reclaimed food containers or shallow wooden boxes work just as well. Fill them with nutrient-rich soil. Mix in a bit of worm casting or compost, and tuck your strawberry plants in gently. Each level becomes a stage, and the runners will soon trail over the edge like vines from a forest balcony. A tip: place the shoe rack near a wall that receives morning light, but some afternoon shade. This helps prevent heat stress while encouraging steady fruiting. Water carefully, starting from the top, letting excess drip naturally to lower levels. You'll find yourself checking the rack each morning, not for lost sandals, but for new buds, tiny green fruit, or that first glimpse of blushing red. The transformation is deeper than visual, it's poetic. A piece of furniture, once used to store, now begins to give. Because growth doesn't ask for new things, it asks for new meaning. And in the creaking shelves of a shoe rack now turned garden, your strawberries bloom not just from soil, but from imagination, and from love, always, quietly growing between what was and what can be. Every garden, no matter how small, deserves its own sanctuary, a sense of place of pause, of peace. On a balcony, where space must be carved from concrete and breeze, even a simple divider can carry meaning far beyond function. Made from bamboo sticks and lightweight garden netting, this divider stands as a subtle boundary, separating spaces, softening light, guiding vines, and offering your strawberries a stage of their own. It begins with frame. Bamboo poles tied with jute or twine, anchored in pots or screwed into wooden planters. Stretched across the frame is a net, thin, gentle, forgiving. It becomes both wall and invitation. Plants respond instinctively, reaching toward it. You can train strawberry runners to climb slightly, or let companion plants like beans, mint, or morning glory rise and offer dappled shade. The divider also shields, blocking harsh winds, diffusing strong sunlight in the afternoon, and giving your balcony a sense of depth and rhythm. Behind it, you might place your compost tower or store tools. In front of it, the soft green of strawberries draws every eye. A tip: spray the bamboo weekly with diluted vinegar to keep it from molding. Choose netting with wide enough gaps to weave through, but tight enough to support weight. Over time, the structure becomes both practical and poetic. And as you sit beside it, sipping something warm, watching sunlight trace patterns across the mesh, you'll feel the quiet embrace of a space redefined. This divider is not just about separation. It's about intention, about crafting a place where things can grow, with focus, with grace, with respect for each part. Because even in a garden only a few meters wide, there is room for layers, for boundaries that feel like invitations, for walls that don't block but cradle. In every garden, even the smallest, there comes a moment of quiet worry, when leaves curl with mystery, when spots appear like whispers of imbalance. But before panic, before chemicals, there is calm, and there is nature. This is a story of a simple spray, born from vinegar, herbs, and trust. Powdery mildew, fungal leaf spots, and garden mold thrive in damp air and tight spaces, just like those on a balcony. But instead of reaching for harsh remedies, you can craft your own, a natural fungicide that soothes, protects, and allows your strawberries to heal in peace. In a spray bottle, mix 1 part apple cider vinegar with 4 parts water. Add a crushed garlic clove, a few sprigs of rosemary or dried basil, fragrant protectors known for their antifungal properties. Let it steep for a few hours. Strain gently, and test first on a single leaf. Spray only in early morning or late evening, never in direct sun. The mist should be light, the scent herbal and comforting. You'll notice the mildew retreat in days. The leaves will breathe easier, and you, the gardener, will feel not like a fighter, but like a healer. A tip: never overuse. Too much vinegar can burn tender leaves. Once or twice a week is enough. Always accompanied with good airflow and healthy spacing between plants. What you're making is more than a treatment. It's a tea for your garden, a gentle, living blend made in your kitchen and offered with your hands. And in the silence that follows, your strawberries will begin again, greener, stronger, thankful, because sometimes the medicine isn't force, it's familiarity, scented with rosemary, whispered through vinegar, applied not in fear, but in love.